Good day, everyone. Good day, Mom Pen. Good day, classmates. I am Myra Chalti Madrid, and I will be reporting the Philippine Strategy for Sustainable Development. So I will be discussing the goal, objective, principles, general strategies, assessment of major sectors, and how PSSD can be applied to work. But before going over these topics, let us all first define what sustainable development is. Sustainable development is meeting the needs of citizens of today without limiting or distracting the options of future generations to fulfill their needs. It is the pursuit of higher levels of quality of life while preserving or even enhancing environmental quality. It is also the only true development. Now, what is Philippine strategy for sustainable development? It is the Philippines' effort to help preserve and conserve Earth's natural resources, initiated with the help from different sectors of society. The Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, or DENR, formulated and conceptualized the Philippine Strategy for Sustainable Development to address the immediate problems and concerns faced by the Philippines and lessen the loss and ultimate destruction of the natural resources. So PSSD's primary goal is to achieve economic growth with adequate protection of the country's biological resources and its diversity, vital ecosystem functions, and overall environmental quality. Growth objectives should be compatible not only to the needs of the society, but also to the natural dynamics and carrying capacities of the ecosystem. Urbanization and industrializations are good as long as the biological resources such as forests, lands, and oceans, which are habitats of different organisms that are not adversely affected. So here are the objectives. First is to ensure sustainable utilization, to promote social and intergenerational equity and utilization of country's natural resources, to develop management programs, to promote technologies of sustainable lowland and upland agroforestry through encouragement of research and development, to achieve and maintain an acceptable quality of air and water, and many more objectives. So let's move on to the guiding principles. When we say guiding principles, it serves as the PSSD's conscience in the making and implementing its strategies and activities. And these are the systems-oriented and integrated approach in the analysis and solutions of development problems. A concern for meeting the needs of future generation or intergeneration equity, a concern for equity of people, a concern not to exceed carrying capacity of ecosystem, living on the interest rather than on a capital or stock of natural resources, and also many more. We will now move on the Philippines general strategies. First is the integration of environmental considerations in decision making. So our economic and environmental concern must be addressed simultaneously. Within such a planning context, it is especially important that analysis and evaluation stress the key role that environmental quality can play in sustainable development. Second is a proper pricing of natural resources. To improve resource management, proper pricing of natural resources based on the cost of replenishment, increasing their supply, and providing appropriate substitutes should be done. This aims to correct the gross underpricing of natural resources that is substantially responsible for their wasteful extraction and utilization. Next is the property rights reform. Self-regulation in the exploitation of natural resources can be achieved by assigning secure access right over these resources to responsible individuals and communities. Through this, the individual or community establishes a lasting tie with the resource and a long-term stake in its protection for sustained productivity. Fourth is the establishment of integrated areas system. Protected areas should therefore be established for the conservation of wildlife and unique ecosystem, with the end of view of conserving genetic resources for scientific, educational, cultural, and historical values. And number five is rehabilitation of degraded ecosystem. It is a significant strategy given the massive destruction of ecosystem that has already occurred. Under such conditions, nature's regenerative capacity is not enough. Deliberate rehabilitative efforts are needed. Population. The present population situation has already strained the government's capability to provide basic services such as education, healthcare, and food for the nation. The critical issues to be discussed should therefore address the balance between population size and available resources, and the rate of population growth in relation to the capacity of the economy to provide basic needs of the population. Environmental and natural resources. The challenge for resource management is to treat the ecosystem as the unit most suitable for analysis so that the maintenance of vital life support functions may be in equitable distribution and allocation of lands and natural resources, and among others. So protected areas and biodiversity. The effects of hunting, trapping, and trading of the wildlife, aside from habitat loss, have continually threatened the reproduction capabilities and survival of most of the endemic plants and animals in the Philippines. Urban ecosystem. The migration of population to urban areas will continue to put pressure on limited urban land resources in the coming years. Generation and disposal of solid waste, air pollution emitted by transport vehicles, and stationary industrial sources will continue to be a major problem. Coastal resources. Coastal resources have been exploited indiscriminately, and its conservation and protection have been overlooked. So dynamite fishing, siltation, the human encroachment have led to the destruction of coastal resources. Pollution from industrial complexes continues to be a growing problem. Land and mineral resources. Pollution of land resources may be traced from solid waste from domestic, commercial, and industrial activities. Agricultural pollution from pesticides and fertilizers, and pollution from mining activities. So the land resources of the country are also vulnerable to soil erosion. And it is already happening nowadays. The Philippine mining industry has played a major role in the economic growth of the country. However, huge quantities of waste and mine tailings have to be dumped. This can cause pollution of rivers and marine ecosystem and damage irrigation canals and farmlands by siltation. Landslides and flash floods occur at alarming rates in areas defaced by unsystematic mining operations. Agriculture. The increasing demands by a growing population for higher agricultural production now threatens the very sustainability of countries' natural resources. In places where able lands have become useless, farmers are shifting to marginal, less productive areas. The proof is the increased number of clearings on even steep mountain slopes. Energy. Energy development in the Philippines led to partial replacement of oil by indigenous sources such as coal, hydroelectric power, geothermal, and other non-conventional sources. Industry. Industrialization is the vehicle through which we expect to solve problems of mass poverty and unemployment. However, industry withdraw materials from the natural resource base and generates pollution. Industrialization has the power either to enhance or degrade the environment. How PSSD can be applied to work. The Philippine Development Plan is the first medium-term plan anchored on the Ambition Natin 2040. The priorities are guided by Duterte administration point socio-economic agenda. And the regional consultation conducted by various planning committees and social development summits that culminated in 2022 agenda, which is Malasakit at Pagbabago. And the goal of the PBP is to enable Filipinos to attain matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay. It also acknowledges the accomplishments of the previous administrations. Since I am working in the LGU Tacloban, I will cite some of the strategy priority plan of our local chief executive. Number one is boosting the economy of Tacloban City. There are more livelihoods to citizens, especially to northern barrios, through the city co-op, city agriculture, city social welfare and development, with programs and with free trainings, supporting local small businesses, supporting education through platforms of online schooling. The mayor already started the distribution of the free barangay Wi-Fi, giving aid through financial assistance, burial, medical, and hospitalization. Public service continues despite the pandemic. Those are the garbage collections, street light maintenance, water delivery, not just water delivery, but free water delivery to resettlement areas. And all Taclobanos be vaccinated, and many more. Since Tacloban City is the capital or the hot capital of the region, what happens in Tacloban affects the entire region. The management always formulate innovation to help different sectors. Taclobanon still fighting to cope up with this situation as LGU is adapting the transition to sustain our economy. That would be all. Thank you.